A snowstorm is coming for the southeast just this weekend, and we have a lot to go over. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie, and welcome back to the channel. Like I said, we got a lot to go over today. We have some graphics from the National Weather Service. We have hazard maps. We have model runs. We got a lot to go over, and we're gonna get into it here. So screw the long intro. Let's go. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you've not done so already, and please comment down below where you're watching from. It'd be greatly appreciated. So we're going to start off with some ground truth here. This is the National Weather Service. This is what they've just updated this. What you see here, these are hazards. These, just so you know, they do get down to the Savannah Beaufort area of South Carolina and Georgia. They do go down a little bit further. I don't have it pulled up here. But this is the majority of our area. This dark blue that you see are winter storm watches. These were issued across the area today. Just recently, these areas of pinks, these are winter storm warnings, were issued for the mountainous areas of higher elevations in the mountains of North Carolina. So this is really fresh information here. What I expect to happen is that we will upgrade in this area, most likely, to winter storm warnings first, and that we might switch to blizzard warnings, which is crazy. We don't get blizzard warnings that often in this area. So there's that. I don't know about the rest of the area yet. They probably are going to hold off, but if the forecast holds, I would think they would kind of do this with the winter storm warnings, and then they might take a little bit longer, but they might issue them down here as well. That's what I expect to happen. That's not a forecast. It's not official. That's just my thoughts. So we're going to dive briefly into the pattern here, just what's driving this event, what's changed since yesterday evening's video. So this is the 6Z Euro. The 12Z is running, and we might catch a little bit of it, but we're just going to focus on the 6Z for now. This is vorticity. This is just energy in the atmosphere available at a given time. So you can see it kind of goes like this. It's kind of east to west oriented. It's not digging due south or anything like that, and that's because it's not mature yet. There's nothing going on at this time. This is Friday afternoon. We'll take it one more frame, get this back in here, take it a few more. So there's nothing actually happening at the surface, or minimal. You might be thinking, is there snow up in this area? No, there's no moisture up there, not yet. Our moisture is down here in this area. So as this moves closer, we will start to see moisture pop up. And I'm going to show you all those runs here in a second. So, but we move on in time here. Notice how, like in this frame or this frame here, it is now digging due south. It's kind of oriented like this. Don't worry about this extension of it up here. It's digging due south, and these lines, like it's getting this energy all the way into the Gulf, digging very, very far. This is neutrally tilted. If a trough goes like this, like it started off with, and digs like that, that's positively tilted. When it transitions to this is neutrally tilted, and then this is negative tilted. We want this one, this last one. That would indicate a stronger, more mature storm system that would bring higher impact. So if you're a snow weather fan, you want this, but you also want it to be negatively tilted over here. So it's almost like that. It's kind of neutral. So where does it go? Well, we move on in here, and like at this frame here, this is probably one of the furthest south digging runs we've had on the Euro in a while. I mean, it gets this energy all the way down to Jacksonville in the core of it. Obviously, much further than that, Tampa Bay with the like outer band of it here. But when you see it like curl up on itself like this, it's really mature. That's what that means. And you can see also that these winds are going like this up here, and they're going like this out here. So there's some sort of a void in this area here, and this is the event has passed for areas of South Carolina and Georgia. It's already moving out at this point. So it delivers its snow, and then it gets into this area, and this is why it really cranks up. When air does this, these black lines are indicating the air splitting apart in the upper levels. See how they're just kind of they're leaving each other. That means there's a void to fill in the atmosphere. This is the middle levels. This is about 3 or 4 miles above your head. And what this really means is that there's a void here that has to be filled. So air is brought up from below, and you get rising motion. It gets the clouds forming. It gets precipitation going. So that's when I would start to look into these areas for something to start up. And it does. I mean, we'll go over the run, but this energy moves offshore, really gets going here, gets amplified, moves off. So that's the latest Euro for our energy. Now, what about temperatures? We'll go over this really briefly. This is starting off Saturday morning when this event is getting going. You can see here, I'll use this pink color. This is our freezing line and where it turns blue. So most of our areas are at or below freezing at this point. And watch how that line, this is Saturday morning, the event is just getting going in areas of South Carolina, Georgia, and western North Carolina here. Watch how it drops south. We get into Saturday afternoon. This is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's in the 20s and teens. In a lot of these areas, it's snowing in. This is very different than normal. Normally, we get snow in the southeast, and it's like 31 to 33 degrees. So it's freezing, but not really cold yet. We had that last year actually in my area up here in this circle. We had some. It was snowing in 33 degrees, and it was cool and all, but it didn't really stick. It kind of melted on contact. Took a long time to pile up. That's not what this is. That is 17 to 21 at my house, and that will really get the snow piling up really quickly. So you can see this freezing line drop way south, almost to the coastline here, and we move this on, getting into Sunday here, and it's even colder. We have single digits showing up in the upstate of South Carolina and western North Carolina here, and low to mid teens in the rest of North Carolina. Even the Outer Banks get at or below freezing by Sunday morning, and this event's getting going along, areas of the Tidewater, the Chesapeake Bay area, and it starts to move up the coast. But one thing we've done is this is Sunday afternoon. Our high temperatures don't get maybe even to 30 degrees on Sunday. In areas further, all of them that really get noticeable snow, we don't get to freezing. And then what does it do Monday? Monday kind of, maybe like 33 to 35 degrees, but it cools back down. It only really ever gets above freezing in these areas, at or above freezing on Tuesday. So we have many days where this would be on the ground. So that's the latest with temperatures. Our temperatures at the surface are looking really good right now. I don't think we're going to have any issues with that. So, with that being said, let's gather ourselves here, and we're going to go over the latest model runs. So, this is the Euro. I'm going to start off in the southeast with all of these. This is starting off late Friday, getting into the early morning hours. So, see some snow breaking out, and this frame right here is just heaven for me, right? I live right here, and we have an area of heavy snow showing up, just a kind of a banding feature almost. One thing we need to watch is a surface trough developing. You might be able to see if you're paying close attention. Make this a little bit smaller here. There are lines at the surface that kind of go like this. It's probably hard for you guys to see, but that is a surface trough. That just enhances everything. It enhances the moisture. It enhances the lift at the surface, so you get something locally heavier going on. But I'm going to mention this with our other model guidance as well, and I'll mention it now. You see this? This is what we call a dry slot. Now, this is only early Saturday. The event it's not like you're not going to get any snow. We'll watch it. So that we need to watch that dry slot. We'll see it on other model guidance as well. We move on here, and that dry slot moves east, so it's really just eastern North Carolina. The Raleigh-Durham area starts to get some snow, but this run right here is a South Carolina and Georgia thing primarily. The heaviest rates, the highest totals, everything is in South Carolina mainly. That low pops off. It's a 971 low just offshore. And while we're here, I will just show you the wind. This would be really bad. That everyone knows the Outer Banks is kind of on its last legs with the structures in that area in the very least. And we would lose some houses in this area from this. I hate to say that, but we would. I mean this is really strong wind. This is sustained. This is not gust. This is sustained winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour with the low that close. This is not necessarily what's going to happen, but I think it well could be. Put it that way. So we'll click on this. All right. So we're going to get back into the run here, and it starts to move out. So it really gets eastern North Carolina starting early Sunday morning, and it moves up the I-95 corridor, although just really scraping it, not really hitting the I-95 corridor, just scraping up. And then where does it go afterwards? It starts to roll up the coast here, and we get into late Sunday, and it's hitting Nova Scotia with really heavy snow. Cape Cod getting some heavy snow. It's really just eastern Massachusetts, eastern Long Island, and then, all of Rhode Island, eastern Connecticut, and then the down east areas of Maine as well do get something. It really gets Maine going, getting towards midnight. This frame right here is midnight Sunday night. So there's that low. It's a 963 millibar low, and it rolls up into Atlantic Canada and moves out of our way. And if there's anything after this, not really. This is the last frame that we have. There's some snow getting going along the Ohio River, but nothing too major. So that's the latest Euro model. Now, how about the GFS? GFS has been kind of all over the place. So what does it show this time? This is the 12Z run. And it's a pretty similar story, but it's a little bit more widespread with its snow, right? We have it down near Atlanta, and then eastern areas of Tennessee and Kentucky are getting in on this a little bit more. Southern West Virginia, the southern half or so of Virginia, getting in on this. And then here's that feature again, showing up where we have some sort of surface trough in this area right here, just a locally heavier band. And the GFS also picks up on some sort of dry slot making its way in. This is not warm air. Our air is very cold, but what we're seeing here, I'll draw on this a little bit. The black line I'm drawing is drawn on top of this blue dotted line, which shows us the upper level low. Our upper low is right here, and our surface low is somewhere in here. So when it's making a transition from one piece of energy to the other, this event starts off as an upper low driven thing. So for these areas, it's upper low driven. For these areas, it's coastal low driven. And if you're not in either of those circles, it's kind of both. But the transition zone right in here, it's narrow, is where we definitely could see some sort of dry slot. And that is mean. That's a mean cutoff that you're gonna be expecting a lot of snow. The National Weather Service is gonna be calling for it. We'll go over those graphics in a minute. But you don't end up getting a lot because you get dry slotted last minute. That could happen. Please be prepared for that. And take the warning now so you don't get mad at people later. I did warn you, okay? So we moved this on in time. Look at this snow. I mean, this is a 979 low just offshore. The low location is starting to become more apparent, at least in North Carolina, or off the shore rather. Look at this really, really heavy snow. These would be high ratios, 15 to 20 to 1. That's about 1.5 or 2 times the normal ratio. So typically, an inch of rain would equal 10 inches of snow. That's a pretty high ratio. But this could be 15 to 1. This could be 20 to 1. 20 to 1 will be more sporadic, but we could see it because the air is so cold. So we won't have any issues. None of it gets wasted as rain or freezing rain or sleet. It's all just snow or it's just rain. So here we go. Most of areas over land don't even have to deal with rain. It's really just maybe the Outer Banks start as rain in this frame here. This would be about midnight Sunday night. So, or Saturday night into Sunday morning. And it moves up the coast. Now the GFS has been consistently showing a further off the coast sort of scenario here. See where the low is? It really doesn't hit Cape Cod a whole lot. So it kind of has two lows here. A low off the Carolina coastline and then another low sitting out in the Atlantic. So I don't know if we'll do that. We might. But that initial low, they kind of merged together. Nova Scotia, just Atlantic Canada in general, with a lot of snow, very heavy snow. And then it moves on out. But areas of the I-95 corridor get shafted. We have, this is right in here is Cape Cod. And you guys get something. But it's like a little tiny band off the GFS. I don't really buy this scenario as much because our other model guidance doesn't agree. So what about the Canadian? This is this morning's run of it. And again, starting off Friday evening, getting into Saturday, we get to blossom this snow. And notice how this snow is getting all the way into Alabama. It looks the same, but on closer inspection, look at that. There's even snow in Louisiana and Arkansas here on this run. And I will say that if this scenario ends up happening, we gotta give it to the Canadian model for showing this for the last like 2 or 3 days. It has not gone anywhere with its runs. These are the last few. It's the same story for many, many runs. So, something to watch there. Get into, Saturday afternoon, the snow's starting to blossom. Atlanta gets in on snow with this run. This is one of the only models that keeps Atlanta with snow. I will say it how it is. I don't think Atlanta's going to get a whole lot out of this. You're gonna need to trend this somewhere, but watch for trends. We still have some time to do it. But you can see this area of snow on the southern Appalachians, eastern Tennessee and Kentucky getting in on this. The Carolinas, southern Virginia, And you can see that this is that transfer of energy I was talking about, showing up really, really well. We have a low right here. So this area of snow is coastal low driven. This area of snow primarily is upper low driven because our upper low is like right here. So it's pretty close. But that's that. And see, there's that dry slot showing up. You might get something. I don't think any areas in North Carolina won't get snow, but it might significantly lower your totals. That's all I'm going to say. 999 low, just it's one of the weaker scenarios, and it moves off. It keeps, I mean, it gets snow down. I don't know some of these areas, but past Savannah Beaufort area of South Carolina and Georgia, all of the coastline it gets snow up into the Tidewater, the Chesapeake Bay, southern Delaware, and then I do have at least one person tuning in from New Jersey. We'll move this. I'll go ahead and move it now. New Jersey, you're kind of in it, not in it. There's like the Euro keeps you somewhat. It's just offshore. I mean, a 50-mile tick, that's not a lot, guys. 50 miles is not that far. Or maybe, let's say 30. 30 is not that far. 50 is getting further, but a 30-mile tick west, and you get a lot of snow. So just watch it. You know, Cape Cod, this is kind of an in-between between the Euro and GFS. It kind of buys the GFS scenario, but it still gets some snow inland in areas of the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. But like Maine doesn't get anything off of this. And then we move this on in time. Who knows what this little Clipper type of event is, overrunning event. We'll watch it, but as of right now, it's not a whole lot of agreement. But anyway, what about the short range version of the Canadian? This is the RGEM, so this is the regional gem, regional Canadian. This is from this morning as well. So what does it show? They're 1 hour increments, so it's a lot smoother here. And we get snow going here as early as 8 or 9 in the morning on Saturday for areas of the Carolinas. And again, it's the same. It's kind of like its adult counterpart here, if you will. It gets snow all the way into and past the border between Georgia and Alabama in the northern areas. Could Birmingham see snow? I don't know. That's maybe some sporadic showers. I'll put it at that. I don't think so though. Here's this dry slide, very aggressive dry slide showing up here. It continues to be aggressive as we look at our runs here. And we move this on. And again, you see how in like eastern Georgia and central and western South Carolina, there's just these enhanced values. That's that surface trough again. These lines kind of kinking like this at the surface, that is indicative of a surface trough. And model guidance is kind of locking on to that idea. But we see, I mean, again, these areas that get dry slided do not miss out on snow necessarily. But it's something to watch. Now, take this frame here, for example, maybe this one. This is Saturday at like just after lunchtime. You gotta be thinking, if you live in southern or central Virginia, where's our snow at? Well, we've trended this down here somewhat. So you might get some, but even areas of northern North Carolina, I'm not saying for 1 second you guys aren't going to get snow. Not that. But it is possible, I think, that we are trending this a little south and west. So your totals might be lowered. We'll look at the National Weather Service graphics soon. It's not time to make a call on that yet. And we move this on in time. We don't have the entire event, but we're getting closer. And then there's just waves of heavy snow. There's a 975 low just offshore, getting the winds going, definitely, and then it moves on. Now, this is the last frame we have, so I'm not going to move sectors because it doesn't show anything, but it does go out to sea much further than the Euro does. I will say that. So we are getting within range of short-range model guidance. So I'm going to use this same tab and see this list of short-range models. I'm not going to use all of them, but I will look at some of them. So this is the NAM 3K. The NAM, both versions of the NAM are not great in the long range, but we're going to use them. So let's see. This see how it says forecast hour 36 right here. That means that this event is starting less than 2 days away. That's crazy. 1.5 days away. Anyway, get into this here. The all of the Appalachians getting snow. And then where does it go? The NAM likes the idea of northern Georgia, the entire area, getting some measurable snow. The I-85 corridor. It's really the I-77 corridor or so to start off with. I-77 points west, and then it gets down maybe to the I-20 corridor, but a little further. Gets snowed down all the way into the Savannah Beaufort area. This is probably one of the most aggressive dry slot scenarios we have to look at. The entire is like a big like block missing. You can see the surface low is out here somewhere. Even though it says the low is right there, the central of the lines is right there. So we have snow ongoing in the far eastern North Carolina and far extreme southeastern Virginia here. But I mean, that's a very aggressive dry slot. Now we don't have the entire event. We only have 60 hours, and this is forecast hour 55. Let's go a little further. Yeah. So if I had to assume, just to do some like wish casting, I think this area would get some snow, but it's not promised on the map. It's very, very aggressive, more of a South Carolina based thing, kind of like the Euro. But that's the Euro run that I just showed you this morning was kind of an outlier in what it was doing. But the 12Z, I got a hint at it earlier, was kind of the same. So we'll see what happens. So we might go back to that short range model guidance wise, but a lot of them are the same. I say that. I want to see, are there any in here I would look at? I will look at this one. So this is the FV3 high res model. This has been around a while. So it gets snow going. Really likes that surface trough. See that little like snow squall looking thing in eastern Georgia? That's a surface trough based thing, but it's much more aggressive with the moisture. I kind of like this scenario. I think this makes a lot of sense. We kind of get this going in motion here. So it gets areas in Georgia, Atlanta have some snow, and it dry slots a little bit. Let's stop it like here. There's a dry slot showing up, but it does fill it in. So I like this scenario. That looks realistic to me. Anyway, let's look at some snowfall graphics. This is what everyone came for. This is the Euro Ensemble from overnight. I'll bet you the 6Z, it doesn't show up on this site. I'll bet you the 6Z just ticks south a little bit. But, the Euro Ensemble doesn't really show that dry slot. It does a little. I mean, right in here, a little bit. But even though you're being dry slotted, you have 3 or 4 inches. But, there's 7 inches showing up just south of Raleigh-Durham over near Fayetteville. And then it really does pick this up in areas of eastern North Carolina, and you can see it. Like the Euro Ensemble likes the idea of Cape Cod getting hit here. I mean, that's 13 inches showing up. Here's New Jersey. So yeah, you have some, but you get into the northern areas and it does drop off pretty quick. But on this run of it, every county does have some snow. You get up here into Atlantic Canada, southern Maine does get something. And then on this run, Atlanta, you get something. Again, I think you might see snow flying. It might make grassy areas white. And there's an outside chance that you'd be able to like sled on it. But the idea of you guys getting multiple inches of snow is not popular among our models. Not yet. It might get there, but we don't have a whole lot of time for that. So that's the Euro Ensemble. This is the operational Euro from this morning. This made me really, really happy. I live here, right in here. That is over a foot at my house. And it gets areas of 6 inches or more, really as far south as Myrtle Beach. And Atlanta. This is the operational Euro. It liked Atlanta getting 3 to 5 inches. So watch this. Just pay close attention. The Central Smokies here, with 15 inches, gets measurable snow in every county of South Carolina, the northern half or so north of Macon. You get beyond measurable snowfall, and then here's that dry slot. This is what I'm talking about. Let me switch colors. This in here is aggressive, I think. I don't know if our dry slot will be quite like this, but Fayetteville. Now, notice how I'm saying dry slot. You still get 3 to 3.5, maybe 4 inches. It's just nothing in comparison to the other values showing up around you. That's more what I'm talking about. I don't think areas in say Greenville, Goldsboro are going to get nothing or like 1 inch or like a dusting. I don't think that's happening. But here's that dry slot. It's very aggressive, showing up here, and this does keep Southern Virginia in the game here with some heavy snow. And then it does include, I mean, the Delmarva down here, I just missed it. The Delmarva, you get something, the Tidewater, drops off quickly, like Washington, D.C., not with a whole lot. This run of the Euro doesn't really like New Jersey all that much. And southern Delaware, just a little bit. And now, like Long Island, New York City, for example. Let me go back a run. Yeah, so this part trended west a little bit. That part down there trended south. Or this part up here, sorry, let me get my words straight. This part up here trended east. This part down here trended like south and west. So watch that. Look at these totals offshore. Goodness, that's nearly 3 feet. But anyway, Cape Cod here with over a foot. And far eastern areas of Long Island could get measurable, beyond measurable snow. And then, yeah, this is a lot of snow. And over Atlantic Canada, all of Atlantic Canada gets something. Southern Maine gets something. So there's that. That's the latest Euro. Let me compare this to the last run. Notice how the totals are here, and there's the dry slot showing up. It's a little bit smaller on this run, but like Atlanta's is not in it as much. I buy this scenario a little bit more. Just not to make you people in Atlanta mad. I buy this scenario a little bit more. You compare this to this, it just really pushed these higher values further west. But the footprint is the same. That's one thing I want you guys to notice is that the footprint is almost exactly the same. So how about the GFS? Just briefly going to go over this. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't really know what's going on here. This is, I don't know. This kind of sporadic look. It has the same idea for the footprint. And maybe this is right. I'm not saying that like, oh dang, I live over here and I only have 3.5 inches. I can't stand the GFS. No, I just, something about this doesn't look quite right. Having this much snow offshore here, I don't think we're gonna have that happen. I think rather you would take this blob of higher values and put it in here. So that's what I think. But this is the GFS. No one pays it that much attention. And notice how areas of like Cape Cod, you're really, really, really missed. You have something. In fact, I don't know. Yeah, this snow up there that's filling in, that's something later. This is the event. You're even less. And these higher values are offshore. Atlantic Canada still gets hit. Maine is not really touched at all. So, interesting scenario. Now, how about the Canadian stuff? This is the operational Canadian, and yeah, it's a hit, right? It gets an inch to 2 inches maybe in Atlanta, and then here is that kind of enhanced area down here is that surface trough and its associated energy, and then we have over a foot showing up in this dark kind of purple color along eastern North Carolina. I think it has the footprint down, but for example, I don't think these areas here would necessarily get this little. If the dry slot sets up there, you would. I think our dry slot, if it's going to be anywhere, would be right in here. That's where I think our dry slot is. So, interesting scenario, but it's still definitely a hit. Every county in South Carolina, every county in North Carolina, a lot of counties, except some in Virginia, get measurable snow, beyond measurable snow. How about the short range version of it? It's a pretty similar story. It does look a lot of the same here. So it follows its parent very closely and, keeps Cape Cod out of it. So it kind of goes offshore a little bit. So something to watch. Now, we're going to get into some expected snowfall from the actual professionals. We're going to start south and move north. This is mainly, even though it says Columbia, this is one of the graphics I found that works well to show that South Carolina and Georgia. So they're calling for a trace to an inch in Atlanta. I think that's a good forecast. Your ceiling for this, what does it say the ceiling is? Yeah, so it says their ceiling. Don't focus on the rest of this. So notice how it does throw some snow back here in even say Birmingham's half an inch. 2 inches in Atlanta. I think that is your ceiling. 1 to 3 inches is your ceiling, and I would expect a trace to half an inch to fall. Here's one last look at this. This is really only for Georgia. And then here we have upstate South Carolina. I'm only really including this because I live here and I have a lot of viewers that live in this area. 3 inches to 4 inches. I say 2 to 4 across most of our area here. And obviously where it turns yellow is 6 inches or more. The higher elevations, even down to Columbia, several inches. We'll look at a bigger graphic here in a second. But the I-85 corridor really looks good here. Northern parts of the I-77 corridor looks really good. I-26 looks good for a lot of snow. So for people that use highways as reference points, hopefully I did okay with that. but Charlotte showing up with 6 inches. You're expected to get this. This is not a high-end fantasy amount. This is what they're calling for as of now. Expect this to change. Expect the last one I showed you to change as well. Now here's the main area. It's the same graphic kind of, but it just includes more of North Carolina and Virginia. Obviously, like I said, where you see it turn to this yellow color is 6 inches or more. Where it turns to this kind of darker color, that's 8 inches. And this even darker shade of orange over here near Elizabeth City is 12 inches. They're calling for a foot of snow in Elizabeth City. Am I going to say that's aggressive? Not really. I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I do think they might shift this. See, they're not calling for a dry slot at all. It looks like that's not even in the picture. They might shift. Let's use a different color. They might shift this over here a little bit. That's still not really a good color, is it? I almost was going to pick that. We can use this. Kind of in here, they might shift some of the totals in this area because, and rather, they'll have also these areas get a lot. I don't know. Notice also that this is not, the event's not done. This is through 7 a.m. Sunday. So notice like the Outer Banks don't have like anything really showing up yet. It's not done yet. And I haven't pulled up any other graphics for further up the coast because they're not within range yet. So that is what they are calling for now. This is pretty aggressive first call here, and I like it. I think it reflects what we're seeing pretty well. Trace in Atlanta, down to the Savannah Beaufort area, Trace to an inch, Charleston with an inch, Myrtle Beach at 3 inches. You could probably get more than that. Now, how about our high end? So this is a lot of snow for those of you who don't know. This is a lot. You know, my area of the woods here gets 6 inches. You go up to Charlotte and you have over a foot. This red color is over 18 inches. That's a foot and a half showing up here in central Raleigh-Durham area, Greensboro, down to Fayetteville. There is a lot of snow. This is the ceiling. So anywhere in this orange is 8 inches or more. And even down to Myrtle Beach, you're calling for 10 inches. On the high end, you're not calling for this literally. This is what they think could happen as a ceiling. Now, this is what they think could happen as the floor. Notice how this is still a notable snowfall on the low end. Columbia with 2 inches. I would take an inch. I'll be honest with you. I'd take an inch. Central areas in North Carolina with at least 3 inches. You get over here, your low end, you can bet money this is going to happen at this point. That's what they're kind of saying. 9 in 10 chance this is going to happen. You get 5 inches in Goldsboro, Greenville, Plymouth, Elizabeth City, up into the Chesapeake Bay area. This is a lot of snow. Your floor is still pretty high, and your ceiling's even higher. So that is that. Now, how about winds? Obviously, I mentioned this before. We're going to end with this. This is accumulated wind gust over the next, and this only goes through late Sunday. So, for example, areas further up here, you know, I forgot what I was going to say, actually. Just Atlantic Canada, you're not really included in this. You can see the surface low showing up here with some very, very strong winds. But anyway, our main areas here. We'll just focus in on North and South Carolina here. You see widespread 30s to 40s in some of these areas, mainly just mid 30s across the Carolinas. And then you get into eastern North Carolina and you're seeing 60s, mid 60s, upper 60s. Just offshore, you have 70s. I wish I could show you the Euro. It's not on this site here, but the Euro is kind of closer with the surface low, so you might get some of these kind of brown values inland a little bit. But this is blowing snow, and then you can see the mountain range here with some very, very high wind gusts in the highest elevations. That's 84 miles per hour wind gust here on Blowing Rock. I've never been there. If any of you have, let me know. And you can see down here in Atlanta, this kind of swath here as the cold air dives in and it doesn't have mountains to stop it. So if you get some notable snow in Atlanta, it's going to be blowing around. So one thing I will say while I have this pulled up, I think it should loop. Yeah. One thing I'll say while I have this pulled up is that this is the kind of northeast snow where it's really, really dry and powdery. So this stuff's going to blow around really easy. It's going to pile up even easier. It's not something you make a snowman out of necessarily. It doesn't really stick to itself that well. It's not as cohesive. It's more adhesive. It sticks to everything else. So surfaces, now like trees, you might be thinking, what about power outages? We just dealt with an ice storm in some of these areas. Yeah, they're calling for, um, obviously several inches in a lot of these areas, and then wind gust up to 45 miles per hour in a lot of these areas. So could you get sporadic power outages? I expect there to be sporadic power outages, but I don't think it's something where we're gonna expect widespread outages from this. This is more of just a snow thing. Not there's no ice really showing up, and it's obviously like we went over earlier. It's so cold in the days that follow this that it's not going anywhere. So we'll go over this again later. It's only 1:36. It's a little bit earlier of a video. I'll get another one out this evening, and so we'll go over the latest. We'll have later runs to go over. So tune into that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.